There's actually a creative component to science we don't always think about. And it just sparked something inside of me. I just thought, like how do I create something that embraces creativity and science? There are so many different facets to art and design. It's not just the creative, as we'll probably get into, there's so much business and networking, and there is a lot of things that they love in those qualities of art and design that would be applied to engineering and doctors. I've realized it's my superpower now. Like, I hold something.
Amen.
Yeah, right?
Yes,
It's like you don't
absolutely.
have what I've got. You've got
Yeah,
something, I've got something, and let's just be proud of it. Like I can't change it. I feel like the more I embrace it, the more my community finds me, and the more I'm able to just make an impact in my life and the people around me.
that's freaking amazing, Stan.
This is where creativity gets lit. I'm talking bold pivots, design funks, and those tiny rituals that keep us grounded. I'm interior designer and creative director Ali Velji, and on ABD Inspire, I sit down with artists, makers, and icons for the real conversations behind the work.
Stanley's son and I go way back. He's actually the first person that introduced me to Facebook, if you can believe it. We went on a boys' trip to Amsterdam in our 20s. We've torn it up on the dance floor at gay clubs in Calgary and Toronto, and we always reminisced about one day living in New York City. Fast forward 20 years, and Stanley now runs Mason Studio, a design studio based in Toronto with projects across the globe. A man who studied neuroscience before deciding to take on the world of design and curating spaces that speak to our souls. Gold Key Awards, multiple Arena wins, and features in Forbes, and so much more. Stanley doesn't just create spaces, he creates moments where we remember what it feels like to be your most fabulous self. I am so proud of Stanley and so happy to welcome you to ABD Inspired. Welcome, Stanley.
Thank you so much. That was such a lovely intro, and I'm so excited to be here with you today, Ali.
Well, I'm so happy to have you. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. I just want to start by saying, do you remember introducing me to Facebook for the first time?
I absolutely do not, and I'm a little embarrassed by that.
It's okay. It's okay. It was in Calgary. We were at Maine, and you had, we were just sitting there having cocktails, and you were like, have you heard of this new computer app sort of situation? That was like the very first time that it actually started, and I will always remember that. So it's so funny. But, when it comes to sort of the design and where you're at in your trajectory, I mean, I talked about this a little bit in my intro, but what made you take the leap from neuroscience to design?
Sometimes I ask myself the same question. Why did I do that? But when I think back and I reflect, I was studying sciences, and it was something that I loved even as a kid. Research and just learning about our minds and bodies, and it was just something that was really fascinating to me. So when I was in school and I was doing the sciences and doing research, I felt actually that was so creative. There's actually a creative component to science we don't always think about. And it just sparked something inside of me. I just thought, like how do I create something that embraces creativity and science? So, me being young, I knew I still had some time. So I decided to finish up the sciences, and I tried out fine arts and interior design. And when I got into it, I knew immediately that this is what I wanted to do. It was just so much fun. I felt like both sides of my brain and my soul were fulfilled. So I knew that I was in the right place right when I started taking those classes.
What did your family think when you decided to make the change?
Well, my original goal was to become a doctor, and I would satisfy my lovely Asian parents.
Of
So
course.
when I tell them that I'm going to be an artiste, it was actually surprisingly okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right. Well,
it
that's
it
great.
it shocked me. I thought they were going to just, kick me out of the house and say that, you got to get your together.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Also coming from immigrant parents, it was always instilled in me that it was like engineer, doctor, whatever it is. It's like that sort of creative artiste, designer, fashion sort of moment didn't even come to play, right? So it's like I always find it so interesting to hear other people's journeys and figuring out like, okay, what was it like as a kid, or when you told your parents this is what you want to do, how did they take it? And so it's so lovely to hear and refreshing that it was like, it was a good experience for you.
I'm so fortunate to have support from my parents, and I think the big thing for them was to say, you know what, try it. You've got so many years left. If it doesn't work, let's go back to where we started, and then you can go become a doctor again. I think just to know that there's a path out there, and also just recognizing that there are so many different facets to art and design. It's not just the creative, as we'll probably get into, there's so much business and networking, and there is a lot of things that they love in those qualities of art and design that would be applied to engineering and doctors. So I think when we really get into these careers, it's like, actually, that could be really great for my child.
That's a beautiful thing to say. I think for the young listeners out there, because I'm sure there will be, like, that are still trying to figure out what they want to do or if the creative realm is for them, I love that sort of note of like doing what you love and maybe even just trying it, right? Basically instilled in us that you have to figure out your path before you go to university. You have to make sure you know what you do, but how are you supposed to know that until you try?
I think that's such a valuable lesson, is that those who actually take a different path first and then come to what they love, that journey is so beautiful, and they have so much more experience. And interestingly, within Mason Studio, our 25 so team members, almost 80% of them have post-secondary education before they went into design. So they had a similar trajectory as me, where they thought they knew, but really, this is where their heart led. But the funny thing is we bring all of that to the table, be it economics or poli-sci or whatever it is, but that's all related to the conversation of design and the world and culture. So everything's relevant.
I love that. And I think that's something that you do so well, is that you sort of bring in all of these elements of not only just creating beautiful spaces, but how they affect you. BRIZO's mission is to create artfully crafted products that not only finish off rooms, but really inspire the way that we live. This is why I chose the Mari collection for my own home. It's timeless, it's elegant, and unapologetically beautiful. The modern touches mixed in with the old growth style really is perfectly suited for the way that I like to live. This is where luxury lives in the details. You were recently in New York doing an incredible installation, so do you mind telling us a little bit about that?
Sure. It was a really exciting opportunity. So we went to New York Design Week, NYC by Design, and we decided to partner up with a company called Othership. And Othership is let's say a wellness spa, and they have saunas and cold plunges, but really it's a community. And part of Mason Studio's methodology of design is to really make people understand and feel the spaces that they're in. And sometimes we just walk through a beautiful space or something that has a lot of power, but we just don't feel it. And then it becomes just like a fleeting moment. But we're trying to research and understand, how do we get people to feel something and a memory that will last with them for the rest of their lives, a positive one, hopefully. What we decided to do in New York was we had a session within a spa. We talked about design, we talked about the idea of the impact of architecture on ourselves, and then right after, we did a sauna and cold plunge experience together. So it's mixing ideas, it's mixing this kind of physical interaction with our environment, and I hope to say that I don't think any of them are going to forget that, being in our bathing suits doing a panel discussion.
I'm like, everybody in robes and half naked doing a panel discussion. I don't think that's ever been done before, but that's amazing. That totally puts a completely brand new vibe and experience into a panel discussion, because normally you're just in a room or at a design show or something like that. So what a creative full sort of moment?
In part, it was to, do something different, of course, but, how vulnerable are we when we're not clothed? And it makes us all level. It doesn't matter who you are, your age, whatever it might be, we're just there in our bodies. And we become a little kinder to one another. So, part of it was that we did want to dig deeper. The people who were sitting on either side of me, typically I would, be really intimidated by, but, when they're in their underwear, it's like, okay, like, let's have a chat.
Totally. We're all the same. Yeah.
We're all the same, yeah. The power of design is to have that, to break down those barriers.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So you grew up in Calgary, you went to school in Calgary, and then moved to Toronto for design school.
That's
and
right.
Then tell me about moving to Toronto and then saying, okay, I'm going to go to London, and then saying, no, actually, I'm going to go back to Toronto. And why?
To sum it up, first is all personal discovery. It's learning who I am as a person. Growing up and being born in Calgary, there wasn't a huge Asian community. So I felt as though I never really belonged, as part of it. As I got older and went into my teens, I started to feel it more and more. And then layer on top of that, having a different sexuality too, it just kind of became very confusing. So when I, went to school in Calgary, like that was the time where I just felt, you know what, I got to see the world. I got to try something else just to figure out who I am. And that was the exact same time that I was thinking about arts and design. In a very short order, I decided, you know what, I'm going to find the best school I can in Canada and try to get in and see what happens. So I made it into Toronto at formerly Ryerson, now Toronto Metropolitan University. I was able to get into the school, into the interior design program. And one thing that happened during that time that I think changed my entire life trajectory was that I had a chance to go on exchange program to Hong Kong. And myself being of Chinese descent, specifically Hong Kong, I finally felt this kind of sense that I could figure out who I am in both places. And it opened up my eyes. It was like, this world is so big and there's so many things to see, and I've kind of been sheltered from it. So after that, I went back to Toronto, finished up my school, and I felt like the world was my oyster. So the same day that I graduated, I bought a ticket to London with no job, no housing, no friends, nothing. When I moved to London, I had so many great people around me who were supporting me, and just similar space as where I was, just trying to figure out the world, learning who we are as individuals. I lived there for a couple of years, and it was so exciting. It was like the birthplace of so many different things. I felt as though, you know what, I kind of figured out who I am here. Let's go back home and see if I can figure out who I am there. So I decided, you know what, let's give it a shot. Let's go back home, see if, me as a slightly different person can interpret what Canada means to me. So I came back to Toronto, and I haven't left since. I love this place so much because I feel like there is such an incredible community, diverse community of different cultures, people, opinions, and you can fit into whatever community you want. And this will forever be my home.
I love that so much, Stanley. And the thing is like taking that leap of faith to go somewhere and be in a world where it's a complete unknown, I think is something to be proud of, And I think that it's like, I wish more people just took those leaps of faith, because I feel like that really sort of changes your mindset, changes your trajectory. Talking about being a minority and feeling something that you're like, okay, I don't necessarily belong. How have you faced challenges being a minority and hurdles, and how have you overcome that? And, because for me, obviously being a minority as well, I faced those challenges, and I would love to hear your sort of thoughts on that.
Absolutely. I mean, growing up, it was so hard. You didn't really understand your thoughts and your feelings and why certain people treated you certain ways. Like, you didn't know where that came from. Like, you didn't understand. You can think about, is it something I said, or is it who I am, or just something innately with me? So there's a lot of confusion and a lot of rejection of my own culture. I kind of attributed all of it to being, East Asian or Chinese, and I was like, I don't want to face this hate or this kind of aggression towards me. So I just said, you know what, I am no longer Chinese. You know, I'm going to reject the culture. I'm going to reject, what my culture really believes in, and just try to assimilate.
That's
Be
right.
Calgarian.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that was throughout my childhood and even into going into university. As I get older, and now being in an age that's called middle age, I'm starting to learn a little bit more about myself. I've realized it's my superpower now. Like, I hold something.
Amen.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
It's like you don't
Absolutely.
have what I've got. You've got
Yeah.
something, I've got something, and let's just be proud of it. Like, I can't change it. Like, hell, I
Correct.
can't do
Yeah.
anything about it. I feel like the more I embrace it, the more my community finds me, and the more I'm able to just make an impact in my life and the people around me. I'm still learning. It's a complete journey, but so proud to say that I come from a Chinese background.
Beautiful. I love that. When we were younger, I feel like what attracted us to each other was because we sort of had those same feelings. Being in our 20s, minorities, gay, all of these things, I feel like you and I had many of those conversations, just like talked about how it felt and, those ups and downs. I think also to build a community like that, I think is really important, and find those people that sort of understand you and can lift you up at the same time.
Absolutely. As humans, regardless of who, what you are, where you come from, we all just want to belong to something that feels like they understand us. And you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. We were a group of, a couple of kids that were of color, and we were just running around and doing our thing. And when we were together, though we could talk about it, it was no longer the issue. It was just regular stuff. It was about
Yeah.
the drinks, the boys, the dancing, whatever it was. It no longer
Yes.
became an issue. It was just fun together. So I think that's
Absolutely.
really what kept us together and why I love you so much.
Oh, bless. I love you too. I'm going to start crying because I just feel like it's so important to have that community and, to lift each other up, like I said before. And, I just think it's amazing. And I'm so, so proud of you. You're hearing it in Stanley's words right now. Design is emotion. This is why I love BRIZO, because they just don't make faucets, they make a statement. Think fashion forward silhouettes, bold finishes, and collections that feel more couture than construction. It's the only brand that treats your sink like the runway, and trust me, it shows. Whether you're building, renovating, or simply dreaming, BRIZO will ensure that your design mission comes to life. Now, let's get back to Stanley, because this next part is pure gold. Talking about Mason Studio, I know that you also have a partner in Mason, and what's that been like, and how did you meet, and what's it like working with another creative person? Are there challenges?
Finding a business partner is probably the hardest thing you can possibly do in a business. And I am so fortunate to have found Ashley, who is my business partner, but also was my schoolmate. We went to school together and we met pretty much the first day of school. And I looked at her work and I said, that is really good, and I have to one up her. and then she looked at mine and she's like, damn. So we were just friendly competitors the whole time, and it was this mutual respect for one each other's work. It no longer became about competing, but it was like, how can we just do better and more interesting things? And that never really stopped. When I did move to London, that was the only time that we were ever apart. But funny enough, she came with her boyfriend at that time, and we had a drink in a pub. And there was a specific moment where we remember both planting the seed of saying, do you want to do something? And we have a picture of that exact moment when we said it, because we actually said jokingly, it's like, take a photo, like this is it. So that's where it is. And I won't show you that photo because I look like like a 90s child. It was really exciting, but it is hard, like we started working together, and there are conflicts, but what we've found out with one another is that our value system is totally aligned about business, about life, and about family. So regardless of the day-to-day conflict, about creative differences, we all know that our heart is in the right place and we're in the same headspace. And that's what's kept us going, is just to have that same value system, and we support each other.
Yeah, I love that. Core values always have to be aligned. How do you sort of set yourself apart from other design firms in the industry, or do you even think about that?
We do. I think the business side of us is really conscious of, what's happening out there. How do we differentiate? And, how do we make ourselves different in terms of our work, but also our methodology? Is it a specific hook? Is it something, that we can sell, or whatever it is? But it comes down to, and honestly, it came down to the values again. We both believe so much in community building and support of our communities, whatever that means. For me specifically, about my ethnic background, about the LGBTQ community, about immigrants. And we thought, is there a way that we can connect design with these social issues? And that's what I think makes us different, is that we really try to do projects with purpose. And an example of it is actually the place where I'm sitting right now is our studio. It's our workplace, but really we call it the community hub. So even last night we had a group of 40, 50 young artists who came in, and we gave a masterclass about how to start your business. We've had events where we pull in youth from the community who are in community housing, and we build something with them just to show them what design is. And we find that being truthful to who we are and what we believe in has been the biggest differentiator for us. And just to love what we do and show off who we are as people, that's been what's made us successful.
That's freaking amazing, Stan. That is so incredible that you're giving back the way that you are and creating almost a new, sort of design community within a community, which I think is it's fabulous. And I think more people should think the same way that you do. I feel like if they did, the world would be a way better place. Now, just quickly speaking to your studio, because all I see is greenery behind you. So this is your office. And we were chatting earlier, you basically have this forest in your office. And
we have a forest. Yeah.
And a skylight.
So we believe so much in the power of space, of course. And one of the things that we think about first and foremost is always natural light. When we took over this space, it was an old welding shop, and it's exactly what you have in your mind. And the first thing we did was we punched a big row of skylights, and immediately our bodies lift, our mind lifts, our energy. That's the power of design without really adding something. In fact, we remove something to show the impact of what our space and our environment can do.
So with all the stuff that's going on with Mason Studios and what you're doing, what do you do to stay grounded?
That's a good question, because I have to do it every single day. The world is so fast around us, and that's exactly the reason why I have this wall behind me. Nature is so important to me, and having the ability to remember that there is a world that's very slow elsewhere. I just turn around and I look and I just remember, whatever I'm facing, the phone call, the email, whatever it is, it's just a fleeting moment, and I can just enjoy it, be grateful for what I have. So, just looking at the wall for a couple minutes just allows me to regroup and remember that I can make it through the day.
Gratitude. I think that you're doing such an incredible job. Thank you so much for being with me today. I am, again, so proud of you. I think Mason Studio is amazing. I'm so proud that you're back in Toronto and sort of calling it your home. And I seriously wish you nothing but the best. And thank you for inspiring people.
Thank you. I'm so happy that we can reconnect 20 some odd years later and have this beautiful conversation and talk about our past. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Stanley-san, thank you so much for being on ABD Inspire. You have inspired me, and I'm so proud of you. Be sure to follow Mason Studios at Mason_Studios to stay on the up and up of what's happening in design and what they're doing. It's absolutely incredible. Thank you to our incredible sponsor for this episode, BRIZO Faucet, to make sure that your kitchens and your bathrooms are looking runway ready. And of course, thank you to you, our listeners and watchers, for always being my support. I appreciate you. And of course, always like, subscribe, share, do all the things. If you know anybody that needs a little inspiration, share this podcast with them. And I appreciate you, I love you, and I'll see you next time. Mwah.